Okay. So thank you so much for being here. Good morning. Thank you for doing this early as well. And it's so, I think this is so cool because you and I have never, like, this is the first time we're actually meeting, but I feel like I know so much about you already because you were on the To Be Magnetic podcast recently. And I have just really kind of dove into a lot of that work through Lacey and the podcast and the workshops and the pathway membership and all of that good stuff. And there was something just about, you know, the way that you were speaking about kind of things that have happened in your life and the way that you've opened up to, this way of manifesting and really kind of allowing the universe to show you what you need to see. And I just resonated with so much of it. And I was like, I need more time with her. I need
That
to
makes me
speak
so
to Meghan.
happy. It was crazy doing that podcast. I was like really nervous. I think it was the first time ever really sharing my story.
Yeah.
And everyone's story is different. So it's like hard to put your story out there without knowing how it'll be received. And the feedback I got was like incredible. Like I just couldn't believe it. Like it just made me feel so like validated in a sense, which
Mhm.
you can say all you want, like, oh, I don't need to feel validated as long as I validate within myself, which is absolutely true. But that outside validation just revalidates that inner validation that you're
Yeah.
already having. So it's like a
Yeah.
really good feeling. And yeah, just so many people have reached out to me through the podcast like you, and just being able to connect with so many more people and open so many more doors,
I
and
love
just
that.
like meet conscious women or conscious people who want to grow and evolve. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to create a community, whether it's virtual, wherever,
Mhm.
but to have a community like the Pathway, and outside of that too, meeting all these people, and to have this community of like-minded people that you can like share experiences with and
Mhm.
stuff.
And it's so interesting too. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like I'm always surprised when I meet people who think the way that I do. And I'm like, oh, this isn't that like far out there. There are so many other people that have kind of similar mindsets and believe, that you can manifest a life that desire and the things that you want and what you deserve. And it's always so fun to meet other people who also feel that way. And you're like, oh, this is real. This is a thing.
Yeah. And I think like when you're first, at least for me, when I was like first starting the work, there wasn't many people in that. Like I didn't have any
Mhm.
close people in that like same realm as me.
Mhm.
So it was like, I kind of felt like I had like keep all that in. I couldn't really
Mhm.
express or share a lot of it because a lot of people are like, oh, she's woody woo and she's out there, and
Right.
talk about like then I would talk about like expanders and reprogramming, and people were like, what is she talking about?
Right.
And then I would have to like break it down to them, or they started doing the TBM work, and then they were like, oh, okay. And like my partner, for example, she doesn't really do any of the work or anything, but I think in seeing me be able to like manifest all these things, she's like, oh, like something's going on there. And she hasn't
Yeah.
like dove into it herself or anything, which is fine because she respects my practices and
Yeah.
encourages them. And that's all I really need. I don't need her to be on the same spiritual level as me per
Right.
se. I just need her to support and respect mine.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because even she's like, what the hell? And like see, and I think manifest these days is like such a huge term that's like kind of thrown around very loosely. Like I'll have people come up to me in the store, I'm like, I want to manifest love. And I'm like, it doesn't work like, it doesn't work like that. Like, what crystal can I get? Or
Yeah.
like what? And like, it doesn't really work like that. And it's like hard to, you can't break it down in a matter of 5 minutes and be like,
Right.
oh, this is what you need to do. But just having more people interested, like it's become
Yeah.
such a big thing now that it's like good and bad. But I think if people are really serious about it, then that's amazing. And it's just going to create this whole community and this wider range of conscious people who
Yeah.
are evolving and changing and want the best for everyone and themselves, which I think is could be super powerful for like the world.
Yeah, it's that collective consciousness I think is
Mm.
so powerful. And that kind of leads me to my first question for you is that um you talk about co-creating with the universe. What does that mean to you? Because like you said, manifestation is not just wishing for $1 million and it falls into your lap. There's work that goes into that
Right.
manifestation. So what does that co-creation, what does that mean to you?
I like just journaled about this before you asked
Oh,
about
I love it.
before the podcast, but it's basically like working with the universe to create the life you want, right? So it's like you can't just say you want $1 million or you want love or you want a new job and then just sit at home or sit at your 9 to 5 and do absolutely nothing. It's like, how are you going to find love? How are you going to find a new job? How are you going to get $1 million if you're not actually doing anything? So it's being actionable and taking actionable steps. So for me, I am trying to manifest like $1 million right now. And like that doesn't have to happen right now. That could happen in 3 years. That could happen in 2 years. That could happen in 6 months. Who the hell knows? But it's educating myself. So reading a lot of like wealth and finance books, getting on like a budget, getting, just getting like my understanding money, how money works and like the relationship with money. I don't have a great relationship with money. So, it's diving into those things and taking actionable steps so that I have space for this manifestation when it comes. Because if I got $1 million tomorrow, would I be ready for it? Absolutely not. I would have no idea what to fucking do.
Yeah.
So it's like same thing, like if you ask for calling in love, right? Or like a relationship and you get this amazing partner, but then you're not healed or you're not that you have to be fully healed, but you're not ready for it, you don't have the space for it, then like ultimately that's not going to be a great relationship because you're not ready for it. You don't have the space for it. So it's just like making sure that like you're in alignment with what you're trying to call in. So making sure that what action steps you're taking are aligned with what you're calling in, and then taking those steps and then leaving the rest up to the universe, the when, the how, the what, the why, all of that. Like same thing when I manifested my store. I knew I wanted a store. So I met with a couple realtors, started looking at spaces out here in Colorado Springs, and nothing felt like a hell yes. Like nothing was like, like, so I just was like, honestly, I was just like, I remember like walking home from one day because we didn't have a car yet. So I was just like walking downtown because I was looking downtown areas, and I was like walking home and I was just like I think I was voice noting my sister or someone, and I was just like, it was cute, but like I don't know, just didn't feel like a hell yes to me. So I was like, it is what it is. When I'm supposed to have a space, the space will appear, type of thing. Like clearly I'm not ready for that yet, and this was back in like March. So imagine if I had gotten the manifestation in March, I would again have been ready for that. So I just didn't find anything, and I was just like, you know what? When the right space is available and I'm ready, it'll be presented to me. But until then, I'm just surrendering, and that's like the hardest part is like surrendering. It took me forever to learn like what that meant and like how to do it, and still I struggle with that to this day. It's like a practice. But just like leaving the rest up to the universe, be like, okay, when I'm putting the action out there, right? I'm showing that this is what I want. I'm doing the necessary things. I'm being proactive. I'm looking at like, if you want a job, are you looking up jobs? Are you going and dropping your resume off places? Are you networking? Are you doing the things that you should be doing to put yourself out there to show the universe that like, hey, I want this and I'm working for this. Like, give me something type of thing. So I'm like, that's what co-creating means to me. And then like leaving the rest up to the universe. Like when it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. Just make sure you're in alignment and you're constantly working on it so that when it does come, you're never really ready, but you're ready.
And you can recognize it, because if you're not co-creating and you're not doing your piece, you may not see it, or you mistakenly kind of settle, which we would call a test. But I think that happens so often.
It would be like me taking a place that I thought was okay for my store that was like $2,000 in rent, and then like I would fail. Like that's probably what would have happened, because I wasn't ready, and I settled for a spot instead of really waiting for the right thing for me. And I think that's hard. I think a lot of people struggle with that. I know I did. Was like, you want something so bad, and this happened to me during the TBM work. I was trying to manifest a dog so bad, and I was so desperate. I was like literally on like 5 or 6 different like adoption pages every single day, sending my partner dogs. And we ended up adopting one from Craigslist and brought her home, and she was just super aggressive and really badly abused. And we didn't know that. So we brought her home, and we're like, oh, maybe she's just, adjusting, getting used to things, like whatever. And we took her to go get spayed, and they had to like put the whole building on code red. That's how aggressive she. So no one allowed in, no one allowed out. until she got in, and they
Oh,
basically found a bunch of BB gun pellets like in her stomach. So she was being really badly abused. But that's just an example. I'm so happy that we were able to save her from that environment and then rehome
yeah.
her ourselves. But
Hmm.
oh my God, for that 2 months, I didn't think me and my partner were going to make it through
Mm.
together. Like we were just constantly, because neither of us could have any peace in the house.
Yeah.
She was like, not with us, but we had roommates. So if the roommates came
Yeah.
home or anything, she would like shake her cage, and like it was just really, really bad. So
Yeah.
that's an example of settling or not
Right.
waiting for the right thing to come in. And I got my manifestation. I had this dog,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the right dog for us. Again, I'm
Yeah.
happy we were able to like rehome her and give her the life she deserved, but we were desperate. I was desperate. I was,
Yeah. You were willing to take anything that came your
mm-hmm,
way. Yeah.
mm-hmm. And
I think
so,
people do that with like work too. Like
oh yeah,
they're so desperate to get out of the job that they're in that they don't like that they'll take anything that comes their way that's just a different job without kind of getting clear on what they're looking for in a job, what their values are, what their, priorities are, and what the
mm-hmm.
culture is like and what the workload looks like. I think sometimes people just get so, or even in relationships, like so quick to get out of one that they'll jump into the next
Yes.
one without realigning, and you just go through this pattern and this cycle.
That's what it
um
is. It's patterning that you haven't really got to the root of and like
yeah.
healed and just worked on. So instead of sitting there and doing the inner work, you're just jumping and
Hmm.
thinking that by jumping and like getting, that's what was happening with me with my new job. Like I had so many jobs living in San Francisco, like so many different jobs that I just thought like, oh, next job would be better, next job will be better,
Hmm.
next job will be better. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing the inner work. I wasn't breaking that pattern and that cycle that was showing up, and I couldn't see
Hmm.
it either until I started doing the inner work, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, this is what it is. And it was basically just like a dynamic for me and my father that was playing out in all my work relationships. And like, it was basically like this authority figure I was searching for validation through, or I was tying my job title to my self-worth way too much, that I thought once I have this title, right, I'll have everything, or I'll be
Hmm.
more respected, or I'll be validated, or I'll be seen, and XYZ. And like that wasn't the case. It was a lot of inner work that I had to do to be like, who fucking cares what I do for a living as long as I'm happy and
Yeah.
it checks all my boxes. Freedom of time, I make the money I want, I have the time to do what I want. It's
Yeah.
a good work environment. Nothing else really matters. What's a job title? If you
Yeah.
can pay your bills at the end of the day, support yourself,
Right.
and
Do you
have
feel like your boxes, you had the wrong boxes before? So you were trying to check boxes for your father's kind of praise instead of the boxes that you
for
actually
sure.
now look for,
Yeah,
to fill?
yeah. I think I was stuck in a lot of, to me, like dead end jobs living in San
Hmm.
Francisco because I just needed to pay my bills. And San
Hmm.
Francisco is so expensive that
Yeah.
I worked like 2, 3 jobs all the time. And so I was just like in a lot of like industry related jobs, doing
Hmm.
catering and doing like bartending. And I was really stuck in a bad cycle with the bartending. I was drinking a lot, doing a lot of drugs, eating
Hmm.
horrible. And
Hmm.
I was just like, I can't keep doing this, but I didn't know how to get out of it. And then I got out of that for a little while and had like little side jobs, doing like delivering lunches to corporate places, like things like that I fucking hated. But I was just
Yeah.
like, I need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And then I got the job at Walmart as a contractor, and I thought it would be like great, and it was best I've ever been paid. But the work environment was so toxic, and it was just like meetings all day, and behind a computer all day, and I just didn't realize how unhappy I was there because I had friends inside work, right? So like you think that
Yeah.
like, oh, you're happy, you're having fun, but like
Right.
I
It's
wasn't
not
being stimulated.
satisfying.
I
Yeah.
wasn't being stimulated. I was being challenged, but not in the ways I wanted to be challenged.
Right.
Yeah. So then I ended up getting let go of that job. They ended my contract, which I was like super shocked about because in my department, I was like not the head, but I was like the one that took on everything. Like I
Yeah.
made myself a leader within like my group of people. And I
Yeah.
was just like, I don't understand. So when I got let go, I was in the office and I knew, so funny, intuition, I knew I was getting fired that day. I don't know how or why. I just
Yeah.
had this weird anxiety and I was like crying at work and everyone's like,
Oh
what's
my
on? I was like,
God.
I'm gonna get fired. And they're like, no, you're not. Like, there's no way you can get fired. Like, what are they gonna do if you do? And I was like, I'm telling you, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And my boss ended up calling me into his office and was like, hey, what time are you leaving today? And I was like, same time as always, like 5:30. He's like, okay, make sure you come see me before you go. And I was like, oh, this is it. I remember calling my partner being like, I think I'm gonna get let go today. And she's like, why would you say that? She's like, why? And I was like, I don't know. Like
Logically, it made no sense to anyone, but you had that gut
I had
feeling.
this really weird anxiety and I was crying and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And then I
Yeah.
went into his office before I left, and sure enough, they were like, we're ending your contract or we're not renewing it. And I was like, can I ask you like why? And they were just like, we just feel like you're making mistakes and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, can you tell me what mistakes I've made, because I have not been told any of these mistakes, so how was I supposed to know that I was making mistakes and fix them if I wasn't being told about them? And he just like had nothing to say. He was just like, well, it's over with, kind of thing. And I was like, you're full of bullshit. And I think it's because I challenged him a lot. I just always have
Yeah.
been that type of person that just because you say something doesn't mean that's the right answer.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like disrespectfully or anything, but clearly I think I triggered him in a way.
Yeah.
And then I took time to figure out what I wanted to do, started working at the plant store. That job became super toxic. So it's just been like a process. And
Yeah.
even now with the manifestation of the store, I'm still really struggling. I wake up a lot crying and just it's hard being like an entrepreneur. And
Yeah. But
you
you feel
know,
like you are in alignment with your, authentic self, even though it's
yes,
hard and challenging, it's
of course.
challenging in the right ways.
Yes, I think it's just challenging, opening up your own store in the middle of a
Yeah.
pandemic
Yeah.
in a new city that I haven't even been here for a year. So it's like I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of connections or networks yet to like be like, oh my God, I just opened. If I opened up in San Francisco, Florida, it would be way different because I grew up in these places. So the connections I have and the people I know, I spent 6 years developing that in San Francisco. I spent
Right.
22 years developing that in
Yeah.
Florida. So it's just hard and to struggle, and I didn't think it was gonna be this much of a struggle. And so it's just like going back and not going back, but going back to like to my reprogramming and
Yeah.
where's this like lack mentality coming from, and just going back and doing all that, because even when you get your manifestation, it doesn't mean the work's gonna stop. If
Right.
anything, more shit comes up,
Right.
you know, and that's
Yes.
what I wasn't prepared for.
Yes. And then you're like, wow, okay, well, I'm glad I have the tools to deal with this, because
Mm-hmm.
if I had known, and it's funny because, hindsight's always 2020, right? If we knew, like, we probably wouldn't take some of the steps we take, which is why it's good that we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Starting your own business is, it always looks beautiful on Instagram and when you're discussing it with others, but in the day to day, it can be really hard waking up. I
Really
think
hard.
the unknown, when you are working for another company, you know what to expect when you go in every day. You know who's there, you know what their personalities are like, when you're getting paid.
It was just
You have your
insane.
own business, you're co-creating with the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have no idea when you get paid. It could be, I can go a whole week without a single sale, and then I have one good day. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I just made my rent.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
it's so,
But
and
you
I think,
trust,
I
you have
mean,
that trust.
it's again, it's like a process. Like I have the
Yeah.
trust, but then there's my moments, like I'm human. There's moments where like I'll just be like, I can't do this anymore. And my
Yeah.
partner will be like, Megan, you can't. She's like, what did you expect? And I'm like, I'm a little naive. I'm very much like a big dreamer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I thought I would open this and I'd be successful. I jumped off the cliff. Come on.
Yeah.
She's like, it doesn't work like that. And I'm like, she's like, it hasn't even been 2 months. She's like, give it some time. I'm like, oh my God, it's only been 2 months. That's
Yeah.
it. And so it's just showing up every single day for yourself and for
Yeah.
what makes you happy. But then also like what I'm kind of going through right now is I ended up taking the day off yesterday because I just woke up and I was just crying and very like I've been very like emotional too. So I'm just trying to like sit with myself and like honor that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go in today. I went like on a 3 mile walk, got outside, and then went to a coffee shop, sat down and like journaled. And I was just like, this is what I need today.
Yeah.
And it's that balance as well as that like, in life in general, that you have to like pour into yourself to be able to pour into others and to pour into your business and to pour into anything else. So I was like, either I go to the shop today and I'm not happy and I'm there and people come in and I'm not giving off the energy I want,
Yeah.
and they're going to pick up on that. Or
Yeah.
I take the day and I stay home and I focus on myself, and then I show up tomorrow and I feel better. So
Yeah.
it's just a continuous, I think, process of like
Yeah.
balancing that, making sure that you're always pouring into yourself and,
Yeah.
you know,
And that's so underrated. I love that you brought up that point about listening to your own intuition and giving yourself what you need in that moment, because so many people feel like, it would be a letdown or frowned upon to take that day off or to, kind of recenter yourself. And it
hmm
is so powerful in the long run. So, yes, in the day to day, like maybe you had to cancel on somebody, but over the course of the next few days, weeks, months, like you have recentered your energy, you've given yourself what you needed so that you can then give back in the right way. Because you're right, your emotional wake when you walked into the store yesterday would have been like, not the best. And then people would have
Mm-mm.
felt that energy, and then your clients would have felt that energy. And instead, you gave yourself what you needed in that moment, and it served you in just such a positive way. And I think that's so
Yeah.
important.
And I actually was going to post like a video on it yesterday, but I didn't have a chance to. But I like recorded a video and I was just like saying the same thing. It's such a toxic stigma that you
Yeah.
have to struggle in order to be successful, or that you have
Yeah.
to work your ass off and be burnt out in order to be successful. I'm like,
Mhm.
again, I'm very, I don't know if it's Gemini in me, but I'm always very, I like to question everything. Like,
Mhm.
why does it have
Yeah.
to be, why do I have to work 40 plus hours a week, right? To be successful?
Yeah.
I don't. I
Yeah.
mean, right now as an entrepreneur, I definitely do, but
Yeah.
in a regular job, or, why do I have to burn myself out in my business in order to
Mhm.
be successful? And that's what's happening to me. I'm a one
Mhm.
woman show and I'm doing pop-ups. I'm at the store. I'm, doing inventory. I'm doing budgeting. I'm trying to learn about budgeting.
Mhm.
Trying to network. I'm doing all these things. And then I also have a side job. I work at the
Mhm.
restaurant still.
Yeah.
And, I've really been tested in money the past couple of months because I've really been trying to call in success and money. And I had to
Yeah.
deplete my savings last month in order to pay my personal rent because I gave up a bunch of shifts at the restaurant to be at the business.
Right.
So then this month I've been picking up a bunch of shifts and I'm just burning myself out. So yesterday I was like, no, you need to stay home. You need to
Mhm.
but it's so hard because there is this stigma and just I think in the work world in general, whether it's entrepreneurship or not, that you have to work hard and you
Mhm.
have to show up every day. But I'm like, I have to show up every day for myself. And in
Yes.
turn, everything's connected.
Yes. I
So
love that.
it's
Yes.
so hard. It was so hard for me to do
Yeah.
yesterday, but I was just like, you know what? I just need to do this. I was gonna need to just have a day. It was a beautiful fall day. I was like, I just need to do this for myself, and
Yeah.
I felt guilty about it, but I felt less guilty by the time the day was over.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
but it's true. It's such a toxic like work. I don't know the word for it, but just work culture.
It is. It really is. And I think that I love your approach of questioning, does it have to be this way? If this doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work for me, how can I change this? And I think so many people are afraid to do that. And also to remember that if you're feeling burnt out, the solution is not to go harder, it's to scale back. And I think people forget that you
Yeah.
create space and you create time and you find, inspiration in different things and creativity in different areas when you pause, when you
Mm-hmm.
stop, when you slow down. And I think so many of us feel like we need to do the complete opposite. You need to go harder, you need to go faster, you need to go longer, you need to
Yeah.
sleep less, you need to work more. And it really has the opposite effect. And it's
Yeah.
just
There was like
taking that
a
pause.
a bunch of guilt that comes with it that I was like, if I don't show up every single day for my business, how am I going to be
Mm-hmm.
successful? And like, that's the thoughts that I have. I'm like, if I'm
Yeah.
not there at the store every single day, how are people going to be able to know that I'm there? How are people going to be able to how am I going to be able to make a sale? All these things. How am I supposed to make
Yeah.
money? How am I supposed to pay my bills? And it's just like this constant like patterning and loop that you're like,
Yeah.
if I am not putting in the work, then I can't be successful. And that's not true because
Yeah.
putting in the work to yourself, like I said, it's gonna all snowball into everything else.
Do you think that that mentality was picked up just as a child, like the culture, the work ethic that your parents instilled in you, that you have to show up every day? Like there's no time for yourself. You show up, it's
Yeah, I
just what you
mean,
do.
my parents instilled in us from a very young age, like work ethic. I started working at 14 years old.
Yeah.
And you didn't call off of work unless
Right.
you were dying. My parents are
Yeah.
also nurses, so they're very like, if you're
You're
not on your,
fine.
yeah, if you're not on your deathbed, you're fine. Like I remember being in high school and having like, when I got my period, having like horrible like menstrual cramps, like to the point like
Yeah.
I would like faint sometimes, like on the
Oh,
toilet and stuff.
oh my
And
gosh.
ibuprofen and be like, take one every hour and send me to school.
Oh.
So it was very like, you don't call out, you don't do
Right.
any of that, you show up every day. And I think just in general, I think that's like most, not everyone has that work ethic, but I'm pretty sure that like that's a lot of like just the culture and society in
Yeah,
general is like,
it is.
you don't call out,
Yeah.
you don't take care of yourself first, you go to work, you pay your bills, and then the leftover time you have is for yourself and
Right.
for your
Right.
family or for whatever. And
Yeah.
um it's hard to try and break that
Yeah.
because all that lack comes up for me at least.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, if I'm not showing up in my business today, like I'm not going to be successful and it's going to take
Right.
me longer to be successful. And like all these thoughts come up and I just have to like, I literally like journaled all the questions out yesterday. Like, where does this lack come from? Why do I feel this
Mm.
way? Like all these things. And I have to go back. I didn't have the time to like answer those yesterday, but then I go back and I'll answer those questions or try to reprogram some of those. And,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to break that.
it is. But I think the most important aspect of that is recognizing that there is
Yeah.
something to break. So many people don't even realize that they have these patterns and these thought process. And um, I think just, getting honest with yourself and having that time to reflect, you start to realize where, you can break some of these thought patterns and then you do the work. So I think just recognizing that is so important. And I also loved what you said when you were talking about journaling just now. You reminded me when you're doing like some of the DIs and things like that through TBM, you'll grab your journal and write down some of the things that you're thinking about. So again, you're not doing things the way that everybody's telling you to do it. You're kind of making it your own, which
Yeah.
works for you. And I love that. So I really like this idea of like journaling your thoughts, journaling through, questions that you have about your own self and the way that you think about money or
Yeah.
work or relationships. And I love that. Like you're inspiring me to go get some new notebooks, like really get serious about it because you work through so much
Yeah,
in
I
your
mean,
head.
I know journaling's not for everyone, but I'm a very, again, like I don't know, that's like my Gemini placements or what, but I'm very communicative,
Hmm.
to the point like I want to talk about everything. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like Megan, I just like need to shut off for a minute.
Even with
And,
yourself, you got to
yeah,
talk about it.
yeah. So journaling for me, if I can't talk or like I don't want to talk to someone, I can just get all my thoughts out and then like everything just kind of comes together and it gives me clarity. And it's the same thing talking out loud, like being able to have a conversation with someone and just not even asking them for advice, but just being like, can you hear me out? And after I spill everything, then being like, oh, well, this, and this, or whatever. And then it just brings so much more clarity because you're not keeping things in. You're
Yeah.
allowing your mind to work through everything that it's feeling instead of just staying up there,
Hmm.
and because what is that doing? Nothing. It's just staying there and it doesn't have an outlet. So it doesn't
Yeah.
have anywhere to go. It doesn't have
And
anywhere to go. So once I
yeah.
get it down on paper, a lot of the times it's like a bad habit as well. Like I'll journal things and I'll journal things like I need to like ask myself these questions like about like my lack mindset and things like that. And then I won't go back and do them because I'm like, oh, I got it out. Like it's all good,
Right. Right.
you know. But
Yeah.
it's always done wonders for me. Journaling
Yeah.
has always helped me so much, just find clarity in like what I'm seeking clarity. And I actually did a answers and clarity deep imagining
Yeah.
the other day, and I was waiting for my new journal to come in, so I just pulled out my notes on my phone and I just started journaling, some stuff that was coming up for me. And I was just, about my relationship with money that I was talking to you about.
Hmm.
And I just like journaled everything, like actionable steps that I need to take. And I was just like putting notes down whenever things came up for me. And then I pause usually the DI. And
Hmm.
then you're in a deep enough meditative state that you can hop back in,
Yeah.
and once you're already in that, at least for me, already in that like mindset, like it's easy for me to drop back in because I'm still,
Yeah. You haven't come out
I'm
of it
still
yet.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like journal down actionable steps, and it was really easy. It was just like spending money on the things that like light me up and make me feel good. Are the things I'm spending money on a part of my authentic code? If not, then why the hell am I spending money on them?
Right.
You know, just like things like that, and going through that and then being like, okay, like these are my actionable steps. So now when I'm spending my money, you know, and I'm trying to build this respectful relationship because money and love go so hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's like money is energy, love is energy, and I'm just giving it out willy nilly. Like I'm not
Right.
respecting that, and I'm not, you know, so just trying to cultivate that relationship. All this came up for me, and I journaled it because once, at least for me, I found that I was doing the DIs, I would get these things that would pop up, like what I'm writing down, and then by the time I finished the DI, I was in such a like deep state that I would forget. And I'm like, fuck, I know shit came up for me,
Right.
but I can't remember what came up for
Yeah.
me. And so I just was like, you know what, I'm going to come up, journal, and I'll just go back in. And, you
Yeah.
know, it doesn't have to be like a full sentence. And sometimes it wouldn't be a full sentence. Just be
Just a
like,
note.
relationship with money. And I'll
Yeah.
go back in. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, and money is energy. And then I would just go back in. And at the end, I would just kind of journal about everything that came up and then like put pieces together kind of.
I love
And
that.
it works. And you know, then after I get that, like I said, like I can go back and journal on everything that came up, all the like one little words or whatever, and like make sentences out of it and make sense out of it and get that clarity
Yeah.
that I was
And
looking
I
for.
think it almost gives you like a little bit of control over, letting go of that control. So you're allowing the universe to come in, do what it needs to do, but you're kind of organizing those thoughts and those thought patterns, and you're creating a little bit of a structure around that you can work with. And I think that gives you the tools and the action steps to work with your manifestation. So now you have something on paper where you can say, these are my action steps. This is where when I'm living in alignment with my authentic code, this is when I'm not. And then you kind of, it's again that like holistic picture, which I think is really, really cool. There was something that I wanted to ask you. Well, I guess first of all, I should probably let everyone know that when we're talking about TVM and DI, so I first heard you speak on the To Be Magnetic podcast with Lacey Phillips, and it was Jessica, I believe, who was interviewing you. So you've gone through the pathway, the workshops. We call them deep imaginings, the DIs, and they're basically like semi-hypnotic meditative states where you can kind of go back through, prior life and pull up ingrained thought processes that are creating limiting beliefs today, and you can go back and reprogram those. And you've done all of the workshops.
I have not. I've never done love, unblock
Okay.
love, and I've started unblock money multiple times and I've never gotten through.
Interesting. Okay.
But everything else I've done unblock no, which I think is boundaries now. I think she changed it. Yeah. I did it a couple years ago, so I think some of the stuff has changed, like the title and stuff.
Yeah.
I did unblock shadow a bunch of times, unblock inner child, and then I just really found that the deep imaginings after I found a trigger or a pattern or anything, I would just write it down and I would take that through like every single day almost and reprogram it instead of doing a workshop every day. Because again, like the way she has it set up is for a reason, but if I had a pattern that come up, why am I going to continue through, let's say, unblocking their child when I'm like, okay, here's a pattern. Now I need to take that and spend my time reprogramming that, because that's what's causing, certain patterns in my life and cycles in my life. So I just kind of, again, like made it my own and was like, this pattern is showing up, I need to reprogram this, or a trigger showing up, I need to reprogram this. And until I felt that wasn't a trigger anymore, or I wasn't repeating that same pattern, then I'd be like, okay, I think I'm done with this for now.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll go back to the workshop and then finish the workshop in full or whatever. But I just felt that when I got these triggers and these patterns that came up and stuff, that I really needed to like zero in on those.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you kind of went in the direction that felt most natural to you. How do you think your life has changed since you have opened up to this new way of just kind of approaching your own limiting beliefs and your own self-worth? I know that like literally tangibly, you've got a store, you've got, you know, this business that you've worked so hard for. But in what other ways can you look back now and see that there were like some major shifts?
Just my mindset and my perspective on life in general. I had such a bad victim mentality before where like everything was
Interesting.
happening to me. Everything was happening to me. Oh, I got stuck at a red light, being late to work. Oh, fucking course I did. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like, and that was
right.
my mindset. Like, oh, I went to the grocery store to buy something because I was craving it. Of course I don't fucking have it. You
Right.
know, and like that
For
was
me. Yeah.
and that was always, always my pattern of thinking. And so just like my whole mindset and perspective has changed, and it's just really allowed me to like step back and to view everything as like a lesson, or just be like, okay, if I go to the grocery store and they don't have the ice cream I want, maybe I'm not supposed to have ice cream tonight.
Mhm.
Whatever. Like,
Or maybe
you
you
know?
find like your new favorite flavor that you didn't
Right,
even know
exactly.
existed.
It's just kind of like change. It's just really changed the way I think. And instead of being victim to everything, it's like, no, I'm co-creating. Like, I have so much power to be able to
Yeah.
do what I want. And it's just really changed my whole outlook on life and has allowed me to really just be not even content, but happy with my life and happy where I am. And again, that's not every day. I
Yeah.
have my moments. I'm human.
Yeah.
I have really bad days and weeks, and, weeks where like when I first opened my store, I cried every single day for like 2 weeks. Like, I'm human. Like, I'm not, you know
Right.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
just then being able to be like, okay, I let myself like feel this way for 2 weeks and then pull myself out of it and
Yeah.
then reframe again, like my way of thinking and my mindset, and just being like, no, like, this is a learning lesson. Everything's a lesson.
Mhm.
And sometimes not everything is, but you can make everything a lesson and change your perspective. And that's just kind of what it did for me. It just really, really changed my outlook on life and like really helped me to see in a different light instead of being victim to
Amazing.
everything in your life, because that's how I
Yeah.
was living. I was one of those people who was just, I didn't even know that I was like always angry. I was
Yeah.
like a happy person, but underneath it all, like,
Yeah.
I wasn't an
Yeah.
angry person. I was just like miserable in life, constantly struggling,
Yeah.
coping and numbing with like drinking, and just
Mhm.
never sitting still and spending time by myself and things
Mhm.
like that. And it's hard, like all these things are hard, sitting with your feelings and going into these deep places, inner places, like where you find all these traumas and patterns and cycles. Is hard, but it's so much more worth it when you're on the other side of it and you
Yeah.
can see how much your life has changed. It's hard in the moment to see it,
Yeah.
but big picture, you look back and you're like, holy shit, so much has changed. I've changed so much.
Yeah.
And you just like learn to be really grateful for that instead.
I love that. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because your mindset changes from victim mentality to more of like an abundance and an empowered perspective when your circumstances don't really change, but your
Mm-hmm.
mindset changes, and therefore the outcome of those circumstances changes. So you
Mm-hmm.
really do have the power. And I find, you know, a lot of times with like some of the clients that I work with in my health coaching business, there is that ingrained sense of, well, everything I do, it doesn't work for me. Like I do
Mm-hmm.
cardio, I eat well, I do this, I do that, and I just can't lose weight, or I just don't have energy. So I'm just, this is just how I am, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
I can't do those things. And there's so much power behind shifting that mentality, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can even continue doing the same things they were doing before, and they'll start to lose that weight and they'll start to gain more energy and more clarity and more zest for life just by shifting their
Yeah.
mental perspective from that, like, poor me, nothing works, I can't do any of this, things always get in the way, you know,
Yeah.
well, when I get on the right track, then, you
It's
know, this happens or that happens. And those are all opportunities for growth,
To me, it's
which,
and I don't mean this obviously offensively, but to me, it's excuses, because
Mhm.
the inner work is so hard, and a lot of people
Yeah,
say they want to change, but
yeah,
they don't really want to change.
agreed.
And I think everything health wise, whether that's physically, physically being healthy, inner, mental, emotionally being
Mhm.
healthy, it all comes down to like your mindset as well. And it's like,
Yeah,
if cardio is not working for you, like running on the treadmill or something, like try something different,
Right.
something for you, make it unique, make it your own, make it something you like doing. So like for me, when I moved out here, I made it a point to I think I've lost like 10 pounds since I've been out here too, and just because I've had a healthier lifestyle now, but because
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it a point to move my body every single day. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be cardio, it doesn't have to be anything. I do a really gentle power flow yoga where I only burn like 100 calories, but I'm moving my
Yeah.
body. And
Yeah.
then like yesterday, I was like, I'm gonna take the dogs on a 3 mile walk, and I took them on the 3 mile walk, or
Yeah.
one day I do go for like a 2 mile run or whatever. But it's just listening to my body and what it needs in that moment, and just being like, okay, like if I need a gentle, slow morning, then I'm gonna do a
Mhm.
gentle, slow yoga. It's not about how many calories I burn. It's not about,
Right.
it's just about feeling good.
Yeah.
Um, and like that's like one of my goals is just to be like my healthiest mentally, emotionally, and physically, and just doing
Yeah.
that by listening to my body and what it needs. And maybe I don't look exactly the way I want to look, but I
Mhm.
feel really good and
Right.
most times. So it's like, just listening to yourself, and I think all of that will come. I'm not like a health coach or anything, but that's like just
Yeah.
been my personal experience. Has been like, just listen to my body, listen to my body.
Absolutely.
If I feel like doing a hardcore hit today because I'm like,
Mhm.
just have a lot of emotions built up and everything, then I'm going
Yes.
to go and I'm going to let it all out, and I'm going to do 45 minutes of hit and get it all fucking out and die on the floor there,
Yep.
but it's just
Yep.
like listening to my body and like doing the things that feel good.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You're absolutely right. Because if you're doing 45 minutes of cardio and you're hating every second of it, your body
Mm-hmm.
knows that. Your body holds on to
Mm-hmm.
that. I couldn't agree with you more. We're very similar in that way. Like my growing up, it was always about being skinny, number on the scale, what size clothes you were. And I focused so much on calories and cardio. And then when I moved to LA, I completely kind of shifted my perspective and I was like, fuck it. I just don't have the energy for that. Like I can't just be all consumed with this anymore. And I spent time outside hiking and
Mm-hmm.
taking walks on the beach with my dog and like not tracking calories and not, tracking cardio minutes. And I lost 30 pounds
That's awesome.
that I've kept off for 7 years. And it's because I let go of
Surrendered.
that
You
thought.
surrendered.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
just let go. I did what I enjoyed. I spent time in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And, it really makes a big difference where
Yeah.
I was fighting my body so much all of the time. And then you
Yeah.
let go, and all of a sudden, good things happen.
And it's also like that, I think, just going back to mindset and perspective, is that mentality where you're like, I need to lose weight, so I need to do 45 minutes of fasted cardio every single day.
Yeah.
And you're miserable.
Yeah.
Hello, like if you're miserable doing something, same thing in your job, it's the same thing in a relationship. You're not
Yeah.
going to have good outcomes because you're miserable.
Yep.
But if you just listen to like what you want and what's in alignment and like what feels good, then I think things just come more naturally, and maybe you lose weight slower, or maybe you don't lose any weight, but you're happy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what
Absolutely.
matters. So like for
Yeah.
me, like when I was doing all of that, like when I was moving my body every day, then that encouraged me to eat cleaner. That encouraged
Hmm.
me to want to oh, I'm treating my body with the respect it deserves. I don't want
Hmm.
to eat McDonald's today. I want
Right.
to eat, or like I would go get In-N-Out and I would get like a protein style. I would get like
Yeah.
lettuce wrap and I would get my fries and I would enjoy my meal. And I'm like, okay, like I don't feel guilty about this.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to enjoy things,
Yes.
but it's like just listening to yourself and like what you need. And
Yeah.
again, if you're doing things that don't make you feel good and are out of alignment, like doing cardio or doing yoga, if you hate yoga or
Hmm.
whatever, then like it's going to be hard for your manifestation of losing weight or whatever to come through. Like I even started like rock climbing out here. I'm like, who the hell would have thought like I would have rock
Oh
climbed?
my
And
God.
like, like I'll do it for like an hour, hour and a half, and it's just so much fun. Like
Yeah.
I don't think about like what I'm doing or like, oh, is this really cardio or is this? No, I'm just moving my body. I'm having fun. I do it with a friend. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just fun. And I think again, just finding things that are in alignment with you and what make
Hmm.
you happy, whether that's hobbies, activities, and just things in general in life that like
Hmm.
bring you the joys in life. And
Yeah.
life is too short to not enjoy. So it's like, why are you, I understand people get stuck in jobs because they have to pay bills and stuff,
Yeah.
and just a lot of factors that go in. I don't want anyone to feel like just because you're unhappy, leave everything, and
Right.
but
Right.
do
You can
things
take
that,
small steps to make a change
right,
eventually.
and to
There's always
co-create that
something you
life
can
that
do
you want.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just co-create that life that you want. So, for me, I was just in a horrible, horrible place without realizing I was in a horrible place. And then once I started doing the work, my sister actually found the work and called me because I've always been like a little bit more spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And she called me because I've always been into journaling and self-help and things like that.
Yeah.
So she called me and was like, oh, like I found this program. My friend found it and showed me, and I think like you'd be really interested in it. Like we should do it together. And I was like, okay. And so I signed up for it with her, and we started doing it and talking about the to be magnetic. Um, and then like right when I started doing the work, I got into that really bad rock bottom where I got hit by a car and I broke my collarbone
Oh, yeah.
on my bike, and I was out for 8 weeks. And I just really spent a lot of that time being in a lot of self-pity, number one, because I couldn't do anything for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
again, like I'm human, I fluctuate. I'm not always
Right.
100% happy or like whatever, but it's, taking those moments, letting you feel those feelings, because you're
Yeah.
allowed to feel guilty, you're allowed to feel pity, you're allowed to feel those things, but then
Mm-hmm.
doing something about that. And then I just
Right.
really dove into a lot of the work and was like, this is my chance to like turn things around for myself. The universe has given
Yeah.
me 8 freaking weeks where I
Yeah.
don't have to go into work where I
Yeah.
hate, and to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that
And
thing
you
that I
took
figured,
that opportunity.
yeah, I was like, either I can spend these 8 weeks, at home, eating, drinking, watching TV, doing nothing, or I can like put it into figuring out shit. And
Yeah.
while I was still like in my sling and everything, I got a job at the plant store. Like I went
Amazing.
in, I like talked to the owner. I was like, "Are you guys hiring?" Came back for my interview, still in my sling, and he was
Oh
like,
my
"Yeah,
God.
when he said I get my sling off this week, like how about in like a week?" He was like, "Yeah, you're hired."
I
And
love
like,
it.
yeah, and he even offered me a pay, and I was like, I can't accept anything under. I don't remember what it was at the time. I want to say like 20. He was like, okay, let's do 19, and I was like, perfect. So like even then, like I didn't settle for like what I wanted, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I just really used that time to cultivate a different mindset, and that's kind of where it all started. And then I just
Mm.
kept reading a lot. I read a lot, listen to podcasts a lot.
Mhm.
Not as much right now, just because I'm so busy with the store and
Yeah.
stuff. But that's something that I'm actually trying to bring back into my life, is that work life balance, because
Yeah.
where you spend so much time working on your business that it's so easy to forget about yourself and not pour into
Hmm.
yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's happening with me right now, is that I'm in like this burnout phase where I'm like
Yeah.
not doing anything for myself. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that in my body. I'm feeling that mentally, emotionally. And so
Hmm.
this is like a sign, like, Megan, if
You're
you don't,
checking yourself. Yeah. I like that though. You keep
yeah,
it, it sounds like throughout the course of, the last 5, 10 years, you're always checking yourself. Like you get to a place where you're like, nope, got to take a pause, see what's going on
mm-hmm.
here, reevaluate, and then change course. And I think that's so important because even when things, your dreams are coming true and you're living out your manifestation and you've got this amazing store with these people that you really enjoy working with and things are happening, like you still have to check yourself and be like, I need to take a break. I need to
Yeah,
recenter, ground myself, spend some time alone with myself. And I think that's really probably helped you a lot along the way where you're able to kind of take a pause and check yourself. Like, what am I
yeah.
doing in this moment? What do I want to do going forward? And then kind of work with that.
Yeah, and I
It's
know a lot of us
amazing.
feel burnout from our jobs.
Yeah.
And working 9 to 5, I remember getting home from work and just being so tired. I would make a quick dinner, sit on the couch, watch TV, eat dinner, and like go to bed. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't do anything for myself. And that's kind of the cycle I'm going back into right now, because
Yeah.
I get up, I take care of the dogs. Depending what time I wake up, because it's been so hard for me to even wake up lately. But I'm just
Yeah.
trying to honor the phase that I'm in and be like, okay, my body's tired. If it doesn't want to wake up at six
Hmm.
thirty, 7 in the morning, I'm gonna sleep until 8:30. That if
Yeah.
that means I don't get to do all my morning routine, then you have to,
So be it.
what works
Yeah.
for you. So if I'm like, my
Hmm.
body's this exhausted, I'm snoozing my alarm, which I never used to do, then like I
Hmm.
need to just listen to myself and
Yeah.
let myself rest. So letting myself snooze till 8, 8:15, 8:30, get up, take care of the dogs, and if I have time to have my hot water and read some of my book or journal or
Yeah.
meditate, one of those four I have to do every morning. Doesn't
Yeah.
one. I try to do all
You
four,
pick
but like,
one.
I try to do all four, but like I said, it's been hard for me. So just think, okay, if I'm feeling a little emotionally all out of whack, then I'll probably sit down and meditate, or I'll journal and get how I'm feeling out on paper.
Yeah.
Or if I wake up and I feel good, then I'll read because I can concentrate. You know, if my
Yeah.
emotions are all out of whack and I'm thinking about work and everything, there's no way I can read my book and actually,
Yeah. You have to get it all out first, and then you can have
yeah,
that calm state of mind.
yeah. So just being patient with myself and being like, okay, what do I need this morning? And doing one of those four things that make me feel good. Or if I have time to go for a walk or work out too in the morning, like doing that then.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, doing one of those four things as well, whether that's,
Yeah.
journaling, taking a bath, or working out, whatever, but doing something for myself. And I'm trying to get back into that, get on a routine
Yeah.
because my life has changed so much in the past month and a half. I went
Mm-hmm.
from, moving, like changing where I lived, and then obviously being unemployed. So I had like 2 months of not working. So I had
Mm-hmm.
all the free time in the friggin' world. I would wake up and
Yeah.
read for an hour every morning. I'm like, oh my God, it's so
Nice.
stupid.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. But,
Yeah.
then I went from moving out of my parents' house to having our own house, and then just working, but I was only working 3 days a week, which was so nice. I was working two doubles and one regular shift at the restaurant, able to pay
Yeah.
all my bills. I was working 3 shifts a week and had four, what was that, 4 or 5, yeah, 4 days a week that I was able to just do whatever I wanted. And so now I'm in
Yeah.
a phase where I'm like working a lot more. And so just finding again, and it takes time, but a routine, trying to build a
Mm-hmm.
routine back into my life.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do, but it makes you feel so much better.
Yeah. And you
Like,
can, it's always evolving. Your routine will
yeah,
always change because your life is always going to be
yeah,
changing.
and
So
you're always
having that
changing.
flexibility, yeah, giving
Yeah,
yourself that grace to do things differently depending on where you are.
yeah, and you're always changing as a person. So what once felt
Yeah.
good might not feel good anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Very
sleeping
true.
in, or like whatever it is. But
Yeah.
um, I used to wake up every morning and have like 2 cups of coffee and sit on the patio. I don't drink coffee anymore. I have like my
Yeah.
hot water and I like sit on the couch and I'll read my book. Like it's always changing as you're
Hmm.
changing as well, because
Yeah.
I mean that's the whole point of all this work, is that you're
Thank
evolving.
goodness, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be who I
I
was
was
10
just
years
gonna
ago.
say, oh my God.
Thank God.
And
My
that's,
mornings used to look a lot different.
I know. And that's how I literally was journaling that yesterday. And I'm like, you're doing all this work, and you finally think like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. And then all of a sudden the universe is like, psych, bitch. And like, here
Yes.
comes another pattern or another
You're
trigger,
ready.
something. And I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to break.
Yeah.
I just want to break.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the work is
It is.
things are always going to come up and you're always going to have to evolve and grow and just kind of go with the flow. And yeah, I don't think the
Yeah.
work ever really stops.
No, and I'm so grateful that it doesn't. I love that we always have the opportunity to continue to grow and evolve, that we don't have to stay
Yeah.
stagnant. We don't have to be who we were yesterday. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. You are such an inspiration. I wish we
Thank
lived close so
you.
we could like get coffee and talk about this and journal together every day. Um, where can everyone find you? So I think it's so cool that you've got your shop, and I am trying so hard to be a plant mom and I'm just not good at it, but I'm going to get some inspiration from your Instagram. So where can everyone
Yeah.
find you? Can they order from your store too, or is it local only? Tell us everything.
So right now it's local only. I'm working on building a website for the holidays and
Mm,
stuff, and just as I'm figuring out my own journey. I have the store, and then I'm kind of realizing that maybe I don't like having a brick and mortar and having to be
yeah,
confined to a certain space every single day. So again, I
interesting.
have this manifestation, but things change.
Yeah,
So allowing that to change and pivoting and not giving up so easily, but just changing my direction a little bit. So it is
yeah,
local only, but I'm in the process of building a website so that if I don't want to go into the store like yesterday, right, I'm having a day where I need to myself, I'm still making
yeah,
online sales. So it doesn't matter
right.
if the door's open or not, right?
Yeah,
So pivoting. So right now, it is only local, but hopefully by the end of October, I'll have a store up for the holidays.
very
Um,
cool.
yeah, it was something I was resisting for a really long time. I just hate the whole process because I started in my garage doing only online, and
Yeah,
USPS is a freaking nightmare,
I
and
bet.
shipping is a friggin' nightmare. So trying to get all that ready before I just open the doors to that, and then being like overwhelmed because I don't have anything
Yeah.
figured out yet.
Yeah.
So I'll have my online store launch by the end of this month. I'm trying to figure out what feels more authentic to me. Plants were a big part of my spiritual journey,
Mhm.
and meditative like kind of journey too. Like I would wake up every morning, like water them. I had like over 80 plants in the house when I lived in San
Wow.
Francisco.
Oh my gosh, how
Yeah.
cool.
So including like my patio and like inside, I just had a bunch
Yeah.
of plants. And it was like part of like my little like meditation was waking up, watering my outside plants, trimming them, and misting things or spraying them, whatever.
Yeah.
So I just think plants are such a huge part of obviously Mother Nature, and they're just like beautiful, bring this whole spiritual aspect into our everyday lives that I think when you live in a big city that you're missing sometimes.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So
It brings such like it brings
yeah,
life energy to a
yeah, and to
space,
know that you're growing something and
caring
again
for them. Hmm.
creating with the universe, it
Yeah.
all meshes together. So my Instagram's Oddity Apothecary Co.
Hmm.
And I'm on there again. I'll be posting everything. I post everything on there. So whether
Okay.
my
And
online
I'll
store,
share that in the notes too, so that
yeah, I would
everyone can
love
find
that.
you.
So
Yeah.
my online store is up. I'll be posting that and everything. Yeah, it's been a journey. I'm trying to figure out where I want to take this, where I want to go. I have this manifestation, and I feel like I'm supposed to be enthralled by it, which I am, but then it's also just doing everything by yourself and having like
Yeah.
a physical location. I don't offer services or anything. I literally
Right.
offer products, and it's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate that has been really kind of hard for me, and I want this. I think we all kind of want instant gratification.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so I open my store and I don't have that instant success, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on? And it's been
Yeah.
really hard to pay my bills and to have things come. So just trying to like pivot, be open to what the universe wants to bring for me in terms of success. It doesn't, maybe my
Yeah.
success doesn't come from my brick and mortar. Maybe it comes from my
Yeah.
online store. Maybe it comes from whatever other avenue I can go from it. So being open to that, I think
Yeah.
it might be pivoting like sometime in the future,
Cool.
but yeah,
Okay. We'll keep an eye out. I'll be following along. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see what you do. And I love that, you can always change direction. Maybe the store was what leads you to knowing that you want to
exactly.
try the online space again. And then that, so I love that. Continue to evolve and I'll be following
And
along. I'll
surrender.
share. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Let it
continue to
happen.
surrender and just let it happen. Maybe, like you said, like this was the door that opened me to what I'm supposed to really be
Yeah.
doing. And it's all stepping stones to get to where you want to be,
Yeah.
and just being patient and going with it, not giving up so easily. Cause that's also my MO is I get frustrated and I throw in the
Yeah.
towel real quick. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't have instant success, or I don't have instant weight loss. I don't have instant this. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You got
trying
to
to
see it
change.
through. Yeah.
Trying to change that way of thinking. I know. I really wish I was in. Are you in LA?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am.
What
You'll
part of
have to
LA are
come
you in?
visit. We're in the
Yeah, my
valley. We're in
sisters.
Sherman Oaks.
Two of my sisters live there.
No
So
way. Let me
yeah, one
know.
one lives in Echo Park.
Echo Park? Yeah, that's close
Yeah, and my
by.
other sister lives in Culver City.
Oh my gosh, like so close to me. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, when you come visit, you
Yeah.
have to let me know.
I will definitely.
Awesome. This was
Yeah.
so great. Thank you so much. I
No, thank
appreciate
you for
this. And
having me.
I feel like we could talk for another hour.
Easily.
We'll have to do it again and we'll definitely get together when you come to visit your sisters.
Yes,
That's very
please.
cool. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon and take care. And
Yeah, have a great
thank you
day.
again. You too. Bye.